Okay. So segueing it back to, I'm trying to remember what you said. You remember what you said? I think I said when people trying to figure out why we're here, it goes right back to the belief system.
Yeah, because what happens is that, unless people make people in general, right? They make intimate level assumptions that they are not necessarily intimately.
They're not involved. They're not involved.
Not involved.
It's again goes back to the egoic self. Like, this is completely 120, 100 and 200% correct and right. Why would somebody not stick with this?
Right.
Right.
Unless, based on truth knowledge, it's like if it's better that brother didn't know the truth at all than to. I just read that recently.
To go through it and come back out of it.
Right. So now you have to go through a slew of thoughts and ideas. You start creating a reality for yourself about the other person.
Yeah, and which is a false narrative, because you are not routinely a part of the internal fabric of that being, right? That is reserved for intimate relationships only, right?
Right.
I just one more point.
No, you go. I'm thinking
Okay.
with my hands out loud and stuff. Go ahead.
That is reserved for intimate relationships only. Meaning, what I'm saying, I'm privy. I have disclosure to the inner workings of your thought process. That's why you could be in a relationship with, your woman or whatever the case may be, and it's like, you might say, and they be like, no, that's not you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Where'd that come from?
Where'd that come from? Because they're involved, right? They are probably the closest to
What? Right.
You.
Right.
And what you are.
Which goes back to what's the word I'm looking for? Experiential. It's been experienced. They experience you.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody else may experience you from time to time. So now take what you just said and take people, groups, or whatever, and now take that and outsource it on the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's madness.
That's a lot. Right.
People ask me what I think about certain things in the world. I don't know what's going on. And I'm gonna say the situation with Israel and Gaza, and they're like, well, it's terrible how X, Y, and Z happened. I say allegedly, and then they say, well, blah 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 blah. This happened over there on this side, and it's just awful. I said allegedly. Why do you keep saying allegedly? I said because I don't know.
Right.
I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm saying that I'm not taking it on as a complete. The facts is these people were so heinous, and then these people were so heinous. If I do that, I'm gonna be. It causes you to go and choose a side, and I'm not doing that.
And I think that you're not a party to that experience.
No.
You understand what I'm saying? So, in theory, right? I think that I think it would be improper for me to assert an opinion about something that I have no
factual data.
Well, I'm not involved with that, right? That's no different than trying to get somebody to understand the African American struggle.
Right.
That they not involved.
They're not involved.
They're not involved with that. And it's not saying that anybody is wrong for that, right? That is an experience that is relative to a group of people.
And that's just like me saying, trying to get you to understand the Irish experience in Ireland.
Right, exactly.
I can't. You can't. Oh, man, y'all eat potatoes?
Why?
Right. Yeah. And we're not trying to be funny. I'm just saying it's like you don't have a connection to that. Now, somebody can sit here and tell you the whole situation, whatever, and you could have empathy. You could empathize, you know what I'm saying? But you can't say like, oh, man, like, dang.
And then I believe that there is a level to that experience, right, that is regulated solely to the creator. You know what I'm saying? It don't have, because it hasn't been given to me to say or do anything. You know what I'm saying? What's been given to me is brother, you need to work. You need to work on yourself.
Right.
You know, you got a whole house, and I'm generally speaking, but you got a whole house where, you know, you got to work on yourself, right? You got to take care of your home. You know, you got to, you know, you should be raising the vibration with the people that you've been given, that's been given to you, right? You need to work with that.
Right.
Don't worry about, because if that was for you, guess what? You be a part of that,
Right. Or they'll be sent to you.
or they'll be sent to you.
So moving through these thoughts and ideas, like, you know, how do you think about like modernization with spirituality versus traditional? I keep saying versus, but
I mean, I think that you know, for a long time I held on to antecedents of you said spirituality, right?
spirituality and religious.
Right? I think for a long time I held on to antecedents of certain religious tenets, right? That
With traditional traditions.
I did, right? But what I didn't really allow myself to do was turn to a point of analysis where I began to allow myself to discern, right, the development of the soul and how that ties into spirituality. Right. Again, right? So, you know, when you are initially immersed into the religious tenets of life, right? Oh, something happened?
I don't know.
We timed out on the
It's trying to reconnect.
okay. It's a signal thing.
Interesting. When you are initially immersed into the religious culture, there are things that it's like I simply just was not there.
What you mean, like the do's and the don'ts?
The do's and the don'ts.
The must and the must not.
The must and the must. You know, I was not there, right? But I held on to those because I equated it to some type of benefit, right? It equated a form of right living. You know what I mean? But it didn't, you know, at the time, right? It didn't really push me in a direction to say, man, like, you know, you got to really analyze the components of your thought process, right? It was just simply a blind adherence to if this, then that.
Dogma.
It wasn't really
traditions,
right.
So-called
Right, traditions and it wasn't really a, man, you know, there's a lot of value in understanding the components of my soul makeup.
Right.
Right. Do I want to take this journey on? Yours doing the same thing too?
Say again?
Yours doing it, or is it just mine?
No. It froze. It's frozen there, so I could see it here. I'm watching.
Okay.
But continue because we still got the other recording.
Okay. Sorry about that. But yeah, man. So it's one of those things, man. It's like crossing over.
Yeah.
That you know, that's what I would liken it to. It's like crossing over.
Right.
Right, where you let go and then you allow yourself to be, you know, open to receive.
I think that spirituality and the universality of spirituality, it causes that openness versus the it doesn't trump traditions per se, but it does. And what I mean by that, again, a lot of things, as you would say, in my soul's development or in the development of myself internally, it's a lot of things that I realize that, you know, they don't necessarily affect in the USA. They don't really affect me intimately. You know, for example, what other people do with their lifestyle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whereas the scripture says one thing, and then you take that. You might want to check that. You take that on, and then you project that back out in how you deal with people based on, how they may carry themselves or whatever.
Right.
Not devoid of there's a soul in there. There's a God spark in that person.
Right.
You're not
Exactly.
thinking about none of that.
Exactly.
Because according to your traditions or what your total tradition is you're
right.
supposed to treat them
certain
well, it
kind of
doesn't say that. It
Right.
tells you how you're supposed to do with them in your camp.
Right. Exactly.
But you treat them X, Y, and Z, which is
Right.
not necessarily what I look at now as in love and in light.
Right. Exactly.
Well, go ahead,
even when you going into those things, right? Cultural based things. How I understand it now, like you say, quote me 5-10 years ago, I would say something totally different. But today, like you say, where I'm at today, I look at the scriptures totally different than I did 5 years ago. I can see somebody sitting down telling a story to the people in order to them to come to their higher selves versus having dogmatic views on things or doing this to a certain people.
Right.
I would say they are stories to get you to a higher state of being versus, okay, just go wipe these people out. And I understand that a lot of people look at the scriptures that way. Or that's what it say, brother. They wiped out a whole. You saying that slavery is good? No, I say slavery is. If you look in the scriptures, it don't really talk about slavery. It talks about servants, basically. If you really look at it. But I understand what most people consciousness level at, because they're coming at a view in a religious or a dogmatic view instead of a spirituality view.
Right.
If they go into the book and look at it spirituality or spiritually, they'll see a whole different aspects of the book.
Right. And that being said, which brings us
Or any book. And I'm saying Quran,
right. Any holy text.
any holy text
Right.
that you can find.
Which goes into external divinity versus your internal divinity.
Yeah.
I was watching something today, and it was an elder, and she was saying that she used the phrase like, back in the day they used to call us children of the sun.
Oh, I saw that.
Right.
Saw that?
Yes.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you already know where I'm going with
Go
this.
go
ahead,
go
go.
go with it.
But she wound up getting to the point where she said and back in the day they used to say that the body was the temple. Now they got you. Now we go to places and we're worshiping things externally. You know what I'm saying, or whatever the case may be. The body was a temple, and that's where God was. That's where God lives.
Right.
God lives in you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So don't defile the temple. Keep the temple clean.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So that, you keep that interconnectedness with you, you know what I'm saying, and the maker.
Right.
Now we look for everything outside of ourselves.
Right.
And again, it's no different than, hey man, am I being a good instructor? Am I good?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're validating the idea of divinity. And you're comparing that to something outside of yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When, listen, man, you a spiritual being.
Shoot, we're not even gonna get into other things. The go-betweens that people have to say, I can't be connected to the source unless I project my thoughts onto this person or this concept or this idea.
Right.
To say, oh, now I got to pray to this person to get to the source.
And
Right.
I just who told you that?
Right.
Like, what, where exactly did it come from that you are not connected to the source?
Traditions of men.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
And dogmatic things. That's where they come from. Or when someone's trying to take control.
yeah, or but everything we read in the religious text, if you will, I'm gonna say primarily the Bible, right? It uses all this symbolic language to say, when you go into the secret place,
Right.
and it's just you.
Right. Come on. Bring it out, dog.
You know what I'm saying? When you make supplication and it's just you. You know what I mean? Or when you go in the holies of holies, you know what I'm saying? That's just you.
Right.
Right.
Be still Be quiet and know. You know what I'm saying? That I am the Lord your God.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's you.
It-
And why does it have to involve anything or anybody else outside of you?
Right.
It's interesting. Because as you're talking, it goes into, spirituality. It gives you purpose. It talks about what your purpose
is. Right.
Whereas, religion is dealing with your morality, your morals.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm not going to do this because, or I'm going to do this because.
Right.
So it's a different aspects of how it weighs on the psyche, because you may have a calling to do something particular.
Right.
Because you've gone within.
Exactly.
See what I'm saying? You have your internal divinity, actually, or as I like to say, the God spark. That God spark that resides within every human being or within humanity.
Right.
Within sentient life, it drives you to do whatever it is. As when it comes to humans, I say this.
Right.
It drives you to a purpose. But sometimes you may go within a dogmatic place or religion or traditions or whatever, and now you go back into that what we call the box,
Right.
or a status where you go dormant,
Right.
but you still have this pulling and calling. And it's not to say you can't do it in that box, but it may be a purpose that's greater than your particular group,
Right.
your particular family, or even tribe or nationality. That may be
Right.
calling you to a higher and grander purpose.
Exactly.
But you won't know unless you go within.
Right. You step outside that box.
Right. And touch that internal divinity.
Exactly.